injections. Second thing is the largest, India became the largest producer of recombinant hepatitis B vaccine, which is another great achievement for us. And there are two big giants in industrial sector in India right now. One is the biopharmaceutical industry, and the second one is bioagriculture industry. And considering the fact of the future times, with the growing population of India, bioagriculture is going to be in the top position, even more than pharmaceuticals, I believe, or if not more, then will be in the same rank as the biopharmaceuticals in the future. So these are the two biggest industries that's going to be coming out in the upcoming years: biopharmaceuticals and bioagricultural industries. And India had recently overtaken, let me shift it here. India had recently overtaken Canada to emerge as the fourth largest country to grow GMO crops. Okay, and 1 million hectares of BT cotton is the clear indication of India's growth in the biotech field. So those who are thinking always like there is nothing left for biotechnology, this is the positive side that we can see. We are right now in the 12th position all over in the globe. We are involved with the biggest biopharmaceutical companies. We are the exporter of many generic drugs outside of India. We are our bioagriculture industry is going to inflate in the future decade, and we are right now the fourth position in the country list to produce the GM crops. So these are some of the important points that I wanted to open your eye on, because these are something that you will be working in the future times probably. But it's very important to focus yourself and choose your career path carefully. Otherwise, you may end up in something, choosing something wrong, and you may not get into the position where you intend to. So which again, the future projections, as I told you, currently biopharmaceutical sector accounts for the largest share of biotech industry in India, and the biopharmaceutical has 64% of total revenues that India generates from the biotech field. So the weightage of whole Indian biotech field is 64% of the weightage goes to the pharmaceutical industry. Then bioservices 18%, then comes the bioagriculture 14%, bioindustrial, other kind of industry that can be textile industry, like otherwise the food industry and other things 3%, and then comes bioinformatics only 1%. So bioinformatics has an important role to go in the future times in order to help and aid the drug discovery and delivery mechanisms. And bioindustrial sectors, food processing sectors also have a growth, because as the population will grow, we need to feed them in much faster way. We need to rely on this biotech and different technologies rather than a common general method of food production. Then bioagriculture will be the future, okay, because there will be some years after 50 or 70 years later, everybody need to grow their own food. This is going to be the truth at a situation of the pollution and all these things going towards a direction where everybody need to be a farmer in the future time. That's why bioagriculture has a very big opportunity in the future times. And considering about the funding, 1.2 billion paid during 2007 to 2012, this 5 years, while in the next 5 years, 2012 to 2017, 3.7 billion is paid. So think about it, it's more than twice. It's approximately 3 times more in the last 5 years. And we have this upcoming 2018 to again 2023. We are going to see even more hike, approximately 6, even more than that. If India can develop the COVID-19 vaccine, then it's going to be even more in the upcoming times. So the funding is always on. That means the funding is increasing from the government point of view, and also from other funding agencies, private funding agencies from outside of India. Okay, so investors are funding different institutes. Investors are funding the government as well as the private institutes for manufacturing, and also for providing the dry lab services as well. The infrastructure development is an eye-opener, because the modern facilities are imported, and the pharma India is the largest provider of generic medicine, as I told you, globally. Over 20% of the medicines are expected to, like normally is now exported out of India, and it is expected to expand even further in the coming years. And the bioinformatics sector. Bioinformatics is estimated to raise at a growth rate of 34.92%. 35% growth of an industry, of a sector, means it's a huge leap from the financial year 2012 till 2025. So it's a array of 12, 13 years. But with this 12, 13 years, the growth of biotech, which is right now as only 1% of the total amount spent in the biotech industry in India, I think it's going to become 8 or 10% in the future times, in the future decade. So that's why you need to keep your eye on the pharma industry, bioinformatics, because few students are actually interested in bioinformatics because this is less understood, involved with some mathematics, involved with the idea of algorithm, the idea of technical information and technical data learning, machine learning, and all these things. So these things, that's why many students don't choose bioinformatics, but bioinformatics is less understood subject and it is really an important one in the future times. So the final big question that everybody has in their mind, is it worth studying these subjects right now? Is it worth studying biotech, microbiology now? The answer is yes, it is worth studying, but the very first thing that I want to clear is can we still consider the name of biotech as an engineering degree? The answer is no. There are much social stigma associated with it. Still now the parents and the old people who are not familiar with the biotech microbiology stream, they are only familiar with one thing. If you are into this biology field, you will be a doctor. If you are into the math and physics field, you will become the engineer. But right now, uh, it is considering right now there are. Okay, can you turn off your microphone? Okay.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. I request everyone to please turn off their mics. Again, I request everyone to turn off their mics, please. Thank you.
So we still not consider BTech as an engineering degree, although it's given by the engineering colleges. The reason behind it is first, the biggest problem, social stigma, as I told you, associated with the biotech. Because people think biotech is a leftover field, means once you cannot do anything in MBBS, then you go to the biotech. This particular ill mentality need to be scrapped out. Okay, we need to get over it. First thing. Second thing is that mentality of the student coming into this field thinking of that this is a new field, so you're going to get plenty of job opportunity, which is not true. You need to work hard and for a long period of time to get into the position. I already mentioned you what is the career path will be if you choose academic or if you choose industrial career. Okay, so that is one, the second thing. And the third thing is, what should you look for? It depends on the financial condition, whether your family can back you up regarding your study, as well as whether you can do your study in India or outside India. Because outside of India, the microbiologists, biotechnologists, they get 6-figure salary. But in India, the starter and fresher microbiologists and biotechnologists get 15 to 20,000 depending upon the state you are living in, which is very, very low, below average even compared to the other different jobs. Sales job can give more salary than this. Even after doing MSc, people are not accustomed to get this much of this low amount of salary. That's the other deal breaker. So choose wisely. Biotechnology is not new anymore, and still, even though biotech is technology is associated with it, and we give them the BE, the engineering degree, as biotechnology, but still, biotechnology cannot be considered as equal to other engineering like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, IT. The reason behind it is that there are some drawback out there, and the primary drawback here is that the colleges are not giving the same weightage to the biotechnology as they are giving the weightage to the other engineering degree. Even I know the colleges where they give placement services for all the other stream. They are giving placement services for mechanical engineering, metallurgy, the electrical engineering, electronics engineering. But when it comes down to biotechnology engineering or BTech degree, they are not be able. They always are not be able to provide them the proper placement. So as a result, students are hopeless and they start to shift their career into different line. So lack of career counseling is one of the big difficulties, one of the big problem right now, because in colleges, what the teachers are doing right now, they're normally teaching subjects, and once the subject teaching is over, then they are always giving them the certificate and then leaving it. So there is no contact between the teacher and the students, because it's very important for the college to first identify the students, that among a 40 student batch, this 20 student want to go into academic, this other 20 want to go into the industry. So those who want to go into the industry, the college should mold them according to the industry ready format, because to get into the industry, you don't need to have a proper academic knowledge, but what you need is experience. What you need is the skill set. So you need to build the set of skills, and that your college must look after. Second is the non-bridge course. There is no bridge course between the graduation or MSc and the industry. So academic is running parallelly with the industry. This is not good. I think there should be a connection or bridge course between the academic career and the industrial career, so that a person can go from BSc or MSc, BTech or MTech, that point of field, into the industrial career. There must be some sort of internship or some bridge must be present, and the internship must be organized by the college itself, because college is the place where a student is spending most of his time during the graduation and masters. So college understands a student better, they need to arrange something about it. Lack of placement services from universities and colleges, as well as the lack of interest for the human welfare centric research. Although we are looking at the research, and the students are doing PhD, those PhD candidates, they are doing PhD considering the fact of mostly, you know, they're working with complicated topics, animal culture, cell culture, cancer biology, and all these topics. But in all these topics, they are working with some sort of section which is not directly or indirectly related to the human welfare. So it's very important that we focus on human welfare centric research. So in India, still now, people are not fed well. A huge percentage of Indian people are there who can't feed well, who can't feed themselves. So we need to tackle this problem with the help of biofood industry, biotechnology. The other thing is that we need to increase the quality of the food. We need to involve the horticultural gardening techniques in order to make more food, so that our own people cannot be starved. Okay, they get the food. But instead, what we are doing in the research, we are working with a specific gene which has a role of preventing the function of, let's say, which has a role of preventing the function of P53 that leads to cancer. So that particular work can be a PhD work of a person. Such kind of work, thousands and thousands of such work is needed to establish one particular pathway or fact about a cancer, instead of tackling the real life situation that you see in front of your eye. I'm not telling that cancer is not a real life situation, it is, but our idea must be something which we can apply directly right now. It's not only true for biotechnology, but for any other subjects. It's very, very important. When we are doing PhD, we always keep it human welfare centric. So how to encounter these issues and how to fix them? As I said, the mentality needs to be changed, so that when somebody asks you what subject you have done PhD with, you say what subject you have done your graduation, you say biotechnology. They say, okay, biotechnology means this and this field, so they know about biotechnology. We need to make people aware about that. We need to make people understand its importance in the future times. And if people get more aware about it, then the government will start spending even more money and make it a better job sector. Second thing is the supply and demand must be equal. So the supply of the student and the demand. So if we cannot increase the demand, if we cannot produce the industry, if we cannot create the industry, then we need to stop down the production, stop down the supply. So the colleges, almost every single college is opening biotechnology, microbiology courses, biochemistry courses, molecular biology courses. And I don't believe that they have the proper infrastructure to do that, but they are doing it. So that thing must be prevented. That thing must be stopped, so that the supply and demand must be equal. So either you increase the job opportunity or you decrease the number of students coming into the field from the different fields. So bridge course is needed between academic and industrial section, and that must be arranged by either government, like BCIL course, like KBITS course. So every single state needs to participate into that, and they need to form some way of providing some sort of stipend, some sort of fellowship to the students. After doing MSc or MTech, they can join into the industries as an intern and can do their internship from there. Or the colleges should arrange it for them. You know, the college must have a tie-up with all the industries, so that they can place the students who failed in NET and all these things, and they're failing in NET and all these things. They are being diverted towards the industrial career, because it is a possibility that a person may not be good at academics but can be good at industrial sector, right? On the other hand, colleges and universities need to arrange placements. This is where I emphasize more, because the college and university, while it comes down to other engineering degree, they are giving proper placement, but they are not giving that much of placement for biotech. consider the most important institutes in engineering in India, that is IITs. In the IITs, if you get into IIT and if you do your PhD, if you do your MTech from IIT, BTech, MTech, and afterwards you'll be given the placement by various multinational companies and Indian companies, all of this. But after doing BTech in biotechnology, they are not given that much of opportunity, that much of weightage compared to the other engineering subject. That is something wrong with our education system right now. The second thing is also, people after qualifying they get into the IITs to do PhD. Still they are telling that after coming out of PhD from IIT, still they are finding it difficult to get a job properly. So that means this is less understood. This part of the job is very underrated right now. It's criminally underrated right now. So what we need to do, we need to have the universities arranging the placements after MSc, if not after BSc, but at least after MSc, they need to arrange placements so that the students, they at least arrange the placements. Rest depends on the students. If they have the credibility, they can get into the industries. And the final thing, the research must be human value and human welfare oriented. So the research must be associated directly or indirectly with the human's welfare or human's well-being. This is very, very important, because if humans are doing this job, if if we are doing research which is involved with the human welfare and for the betterment of the human society, then that is something that our government should put their money. And particularly this government is focusing on this fact that the research must be human welfare oriented. So something which is related to the real life problem that we are facing day to day, we need to work on those things if you are following the career of researcher or career of research or academic career as a researcher. If you follow these things, if you fix those things, if you are able to fix these things, then the biotech may not be a taboo anymore. People will understand biotech much better way. People will understand microbiology much better way. They will not think about only medical or MBBS as an option, but they will think about everything regarding biotechnology, microbiology, zoology, botany, and any other subjects a person is taking as also equally important to acquire and to continue their career with. Okay, so saying that, I'm going to conclude this webinar that still the important points that we need to do for the future. The future is prospective. It's not doomed. It is prospective. But in order to make it the future dream successful, we need to work hard. We need to be dedicated enough so that our government can catch the eye that this biotech is being spread across the India in different places. People has a overall clear understanding. Engineering colleges should give same weightage to the biotech as they're giving it to the other engineering degree, and the colleges must arrange placements. Colleges must arrange an industrial internship in order to arrange the student into different industries for their future career. If we can follow all these things in the upcoming 10 years, and that is the projection. And keeping this positive thought in mind, I'm going to conclude this webinar. I hope you get benefit from this. You get to know about what to do, what not to do in the future times. And the career counseling is most important after +2, as well as at different point of your career, after +2, after graduation, after masters, that what you want to do and what you don't want to do. So you need to have a clear understanding, a clear goal in so that's
thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for this beautiful and informative session. I request each and every participant to please post their question in the group chat box. We'll convey them to Shuman, sir. Sir, there is a question that please sciences. Please briefly inform about GATE Life Sciences.
See, the thing is, as we are discussing about a topic which is the future prospects of career in biotechnology and microbiology in India. So it's off topic first of all. But still I must say one thing, that GATE Life Sciences, as I said, in the field of life sciences, why do you want to apply for GATE? because GATE will not give you any stipend, any fellowship to do PhD. But with GATE, you can do PhD from IITs. And people always have this lucrative thing in their mind when they hear IIT. That means it's a big institute. So after doing PhD from there, after doing MTech from there, we are going to get a big chance and will be placed. But as I told you already that even IITs are not giving the same weightage to the biotech field compared to the other engineering degree. So GATE Life Sciences in India, if you qualify with the help of the GATE, you may appear into some colleges and universities to do your PhD, but they may or may not give you the stipend. But if you want to do PhD in India, you need to go with any other PhD qualifying exam, that is CSR NET, UGC NET, ICMR NET, ICR NET, DBT, and any of this. Okay. So you need to focus on that compared to the GATE Life Sciences only.
That was sir, there is another question from Danish Ansari. Sir, the question is that PhD or integrated PhD, which is more better, sir?
Okay, the thing is that there's a difference between the two. In case of PhD, you are doing MSc for 2 years, then you are doing PhD for 5 to 8 years. In integrated PhD, after graduation, you are joining. And in integrated PhD, the total time span is 5 years. So you are doing your MSc as well as PhD under 5 years. So it will save a lot of your time, approximately 3 to 4 years of your time span. That is one advantage of integrated PhD. But again, the problem is that when you involve in integrated PhD, you will be given a wholesome degree as integrated PhD. So you cannot leave that degree in the middle. If you leave the degree, let's say you enroll into a integrated PhD for 5 to 6 years program. After 2 years, you find out like it's not your cup of tea, you are going to leave it and you want a different job. You cannot do that, because if you do that at that time, what will happen is that you will not be given with any certificate. It's not likely that first 2 years will be considered an MSc. No. So you'll become to zero at the end of it. So if you are dedicated enough, if you think enough that yes, integrated PhD, you need to do PhD, then integrated PhD is the way to go. You can go with that. But if you want flexibility in your career path, then you must go with the bracket sector, that is BSc, MSc, then PhD.
Sir, before we continue the question and answer session, I have an important announcement. The meeting will end at 11:43 a.m. So if you have any questions to ask to our speaker, sir, you can join the meeting and you can ask the question to our speaker, sir. Thank you so much. So the next question is from Pawan Gupta, and he asked that I want to ask about PMRF.
PMRF, I have a detailed video on that YouTube. You can watch that. The thing is, PMRF is Pradhan Mantri Research Fellowship. It is given to selected university, selected or institute candidates are only eligible for that. And there are exams and there are also interviews. If you qualify for that, you will be given much higher stipend, near about 85,000 rupees per month stipend while you're doing your PhD. So it's like, in PhD, normal stipend is 32,000 to 36,000 per month. For a general candidate, if you get SPM fellowship, you will be given 50 to 55,000. And if you get PMRF, you will be given 85,000. That's only the difference between it. But again, not from every college you can apply for that. There are criteria. I think the criteria has been changed a lot. You can look into the PMRF criteria in the website, and whatever criteria is there, you need to fulfill the criteria first, then you can apply. And then only you can go with, the interview, first of all, the written, then interview, and if you qualify, then you go for the PMRF. And obviously to get PMRF, you need to be able to qualify the NET first, but it is a secondary application. After qualifying that, you will get the much hiked stipend.
That was a informative answer, sir. Going on to our next question. There is a question that which university can be called as a leading university in field of biotechnology? I think we have discussed all this thing.
Yes, because it will be cruel to tell at least one or two university as the biggest. The thing is, I call a university good if the university is offering you, first of all, the university must have good infrastructure. Second thing, they must give you full access to the practical aspect of the biotech and microbiology. It's very, very important to have a hands-on training. And I know there are big names, big universities still where people are doing practicals in a group, 5-10 people in a group. This is not wanted. You need to have a one-on-one practical experience. So any university offering that, for me, that point of view, that is a good university. It doesn't matter whether it's an old one or new one. If it's offering you hands-on training, if it's offering you a good infrastructure, if it's offering you the modern teaching style, if it's offering you a placement service, that university is good enough, go for that university. And the best way to select your university is to check for the list of universities in different websites are there, College Dunia and other things, where you can search it. And then from there you want to talk to some people or someone who already have enrolled into that university and already get a degree from them. So hear from them. If you like that, you can join that university.
Thank you. Moving on to our next question. There's a question that is MSc from classical biology core subject, that is zoology or botany, better, or specific biochemistry or microbiology?
As I said earlier, that this will be a total umbrella approach. So it's not likely that if you take zoology, your career path will be something else. If you take biotechnology, your career path will be something else. Because even after zoology, there is hardly a job as a zoologist in India. Because forest services examinations are different and people from different field can come in there. So there is no specific job in that field. So application, at least biotech, microbiology, biochemistry field is little more applicative. You know, with biochemistry, you can go into the diagnostic technology, diagnostic labs as a biochemist, as an analyst, or microbiology lab as a microbiologist analyst. But for zoology, you are doing practicals with the vertebrates, non-vertebrates, which are of no use right now, considering the current scenario. So that's why comparatively microbiology, biotechnology, modern part of biology is better because it's little bit application oriented.
Okay, sir. Moving on to the next question. Does neuroscience have scope as a future career?
Yes, neuroscience have very big scope. Particularly neuroscience is selling like hotcakes outside of India, in India also. But we have very less institutes working with neuroscience because to work with neuroscience, an university or institute needs to have a close contact with the hospitals, particularly because it's neuroscience always related to the patient oriented approach. And in India, there is another big problem. There is no proper communication between doctor community and the researcher community. Those doctors who are doing the research, they're doing the research mostly in the clinical trial field. So they are not doing a hardcore research. So it is another big problem. There are only few hospitals and universities that are working hand on hand regarding this matter. So until and unless we start working hand on hand with the hospitals and the doctor community, the neuroscience or this kind of streams may not develop in India. So to develop it in India, they need to work hand in hand. Okay.
Okay, sir. Next question is please give an idea about opening a small lab. I am pursuing MSc microbiology.
Okay. See, to produce a personal lab, it's not like something that you go and build. It will be a lot complicated process. You need to, like, after MSc, if you want to do a lab, first thing you need to find is what you want to do in the lab. You know, what will be the purpose of the lab. Depending upon the purpose, whether you want the lab for the students to teach student about the practical hands-on training, that's a different story. If you want to make some product, that's a different story, like biofertilizer or something. If you want to do tissue culture, that's a different story. So depending upon your purpose, the lab design will vary. How to make a lab, that will be totally, like, it will take huge time to discuss about it. But again, you need to first set the purpose, and based on the purpose, you'll buy instruments accordingly, and you need to arrange it. You need funding as well. You can start it as like a single person, or as with any of your friends in the partnership, or a sole proprietorship company as well. So they are a totally different thing. I'll be making many videos regarding this in future times in my YouTube channel regarding entrepreneurship. So I'll recommend all of you to watch that in the futures. And in my other channel of Shomu the Microbiologist, I started that channel to talk about these things only. I'm not uploading much videos there, but I'll be uploading those things in the future times, and you'll get benefit. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I again announce that the meeting will be there till 11:43 due to a technical glitch in Zoom. I don't know about that. Please pour down your questions as fast as possible in the group chat box. Moving on to the next question. I am third year microbiology honors. In this lockdown period, on what topics should I participate in workshop or webinar, seminar if I intend to study biotechnology and bioinformatics in future?
Okay, the thing is, at this present time you cannot do any hands-on training because all the places are closed. So if you do something virtual, the best thing is bioinformatics, because bioinformatics does not require you to go anywhere. You need a computer that you already have, and you need to understand the practical aspect of bioinformatics. So if you have any course, you can go with Udemy or Coursera. If you find any bioinformatics course there, you can join that and build your knowledge about the bioinformatics courses. And if you can learn any programming like Python and all, that is another good skill that you can learn, which is immense, which will be immensely helpful if you go into the bioinformatics career in the future times.
Thank you, sir. That was an informative answer. Next question is from Shotodipa Roy. Sir, in life science, what else we can do apart from PhD?
As I said earlier in the presentation, apart from PhD, you can go with the academic career as a lecturer. These are the two options, academic as a lecturer, second thing PhD, and after PhD you can do like postdoc and become a lecturer or become a research scientist, research associate, or the third thing is you can do an industrial job. Okay, so these three things are there. Either you do an industrial job, or you go into the academic as a lecturer, or go into lab as a research associate.
Thank you, sir. Now moving on to the next question from Danish Ansari. Is there any scope to become a surgeon equivalent to MS through ICMR after MSc Zoology?
No, I don't think there is any option, because Master of Surgery is only applicable to those who already have done their MBBS degree, MBBS equivalent degree, and your graduation and masters will not be considered as MBBS equivalent degree, although that is a graduation or bachelor degree, but it always carries higher weightage, because again, if you need to do the MS, you need to go through the MBBS then MS and go through all the steps of the MBBS degree, then only you can go there, otherwise no.
Okay, sir. Moving on to the next question. I have completed my MSc from Zoology and Genetics as special paper, and now I'm preparing for CSIR NET. But is there any scope that I can get direct job?
Direct job you can get, as I said, that you are not going to get, if you are aiming for job, you should not always think about the job in your subject, exact in your field. For example, genetics. And in India, genetic counseling is a vague thing. People don't do genetic counseling that much, because in India we are not even allowed to understand what is the identity, what is the gender of the fetus, of the upcoming baby. So the genetic counseling is rendered unimportant in India. So what you can get, you may get job in the different industries. Again, the food industry, the pharmaceuticals, the agriculture, the bioinformatics, those sectors will be open. But exactly in the genetics field, there are hardly any job. You can go with the IVF clinics, fertility clinics, where they work with the modifications of the gene modifications, gene therapy based techniques. That can be a little relatable with your field, otherwise not.
Yes, sir. Sir, what is the job aspect of food technology, and is it wise to opt for MSc Food Tech after graduating with BSc Botany?
Food technology is going to be very good. It's going to be really growing field in the future times as well. Food technologies always have its own weightage, because food technology is a practical approach, right? But again, if you're studying food technology in your graduation, must be studying from a university or college who will give you a placement or will give you an internship at least, because you're studying food technology considering the fact that you want to work in an industry, in a food industry, right? So there is no other way you should think of. Okay, so join in any college who can offer you a placement for the food technology. Okay, then it's good. Otherwise, studying it, then again you need to apply for different industries. It's not a good idea.
Okay. Moving on, sir, for getting into IISER and IITs, it is important to crack IIT JAM. But but they ask questions from mathematics, and being from bio background, I have no knowledge of +2 maths. How to prepare for that?
See, if you are aiming to go into IITs, that means you are looking for the glamour of IIT somehow. I already told you, if you want to do MTech or PhD from IITs, particularly in the BTech field, it does not add that much of glamour that it usually adds to other engineering degree. First thing is that. Second thing, if you want to go in there, obviously you need to go through the +2 maths, and there is no other way to prepare lesson or class. You need to go with again a teacher for that, who can teach you the +2 basic math problems. And it will take much of your time because your subjective knowledge is separate than your math knowledge. But in IIT JAM paper, there are subjective knowledge separated than the math. So you may not read everything about the math. You need to study last few years paper and find out exact regions from where they are asking questions, and only practice those regions of the math only, and that will be beneficial for you. You don't need to go through A to Z of the maths, only the topics that are asked. Okay.
Thank you, sir. There is 1 minute left for the meeting to webinar due to the limitation of time in Zoom app. I request everyone who are having questions to please join again using the same link. I also request sir to join again using the same link. Till we have time, I will give you another question. Is there any other kind of internship course like BCIL internship?
There is a KBITS course in Karnataka that's conducted by Karnataka government, and in case of whole pan India order, that is BCIL course only. And there are if other states may or may not have it, so depends on what state you are in. You can search for that, whether it's available for your site or not.
Okay, sir. Which is better, PhD in core subjects or applied? Next question.
PhD doesn't matter at what subject you are doing. PhD, again, as I said, it's an umbrella approach. PhD in life science, because the job that you will be doing in PhD is a very small portion. It's a cell biology, and in a small portion of the cell biology, cell signaling, or it's a molecular biology, very small portions. Like animal cell culture is a small portion. So there is no other thing like what subject. There is nothing like PhD in zoology, PhD in biochemistry, not like that. PhD is always given based on either an umbrella approach like life science, or the name of your topic that you have done PhD with. That's all. So you don't need to bother about the subject in PhD.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the next question. Does MSc Biotech and MTech Biotech have the same scope?
MSc Biotech and MTech Biotech, yes.
Zoology.
After BSc Zoology, I know you will be termed as a like fresher again, like anything else. So depend on where you live, where you want to relocate. If you want to get an internship, you can contact with the like local industries. That's a food processing industry, it can be, or it can be any cosmetic industries, it can be any of the biopharmaceutical industries. Generally pharma industries don't take students from BSc, they take after MSc only. And you can put your CV into different sites like Indeed and other places where you put your profile and searching for the pharma industry job, so that you can get into any of these jobs. When the job comes in Freshers World or the Indeed, they will give you the notification and you can apply for that job, for those positions. That's how you can approach, because you cannot just go into industry with your CV and tell that I want a job. It's not the process. There's a series of process, and that can be done only with the approach with the help of either the consultancy services. Obviously it should be a good one, otherwise all this Indeed and fresherworld.com, these websites.
That was an informative answer, sir. Moving on to the next question. Can we say in future India, there will be more funding and more stipend in research?
There must be more funding. As I told you, I'll give you a prediction from 2012 to 17, 2007 to 2012, and 2012 to 2017. It is almost tripled. The total budget is tripled. So again, till this 2023, the budget will also increase. And considering the fact that we need to invest more money to develop hospitals and build our healthcare sector, the biggest one, the government will obviously spend more for that. But again, that must be an application based one. It must not be a relatively distant topic, must be related to the direct human welfare.
Thank you, sir. There is a question that which institute offers good job prospects after doing MSc Biotechnology?
That totally depends on, it's very difficult to tell from outside which institute is offering, because I found many institutes, although they are big one, but they are not providing any placement services. So you can go with the placement services and find any institute, particularly talk with anyone who is already a pass out candidate from the institute, whether they are providing them any placement, whether they are arranging any internship for them. This hard work you need to do. There is no bypass or there is no shortcut. If you want to get into the industrial sector and job fast, And if you want to do your MSc according to that from different institutes, find the institute, find some people who are the pass out candidate, and find out what kind of job they got after the MSc or master is over, and then join the institute. Otherwise, don't.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. There is a question that does online course without practical knowledge can give you an edge in your career?
Online courses is beneficial to a certain extent. Hands-on training needed for the practical purpose. If you are doing biotech, microbiology, which are practical oriented subject, without practical, distant learning will not be helpful. At this present time of pandemic, the classes are all online and things, but practical need to be done. Otherwise, you will be rendered unimportant when you go to industries, because there is always practical going on. Okay, but to gain knowledge of theory, online is fine, but for practical, obviously go with the hands-on training and the offline mode.
Moving on to the next question, sir. After this pandemic situation, will the prospect of microbiology and biotechnology field increase?
That's what I discussed in today's webinar, is that yes, probably it will increase, but there's no complete thing or prediction. What we can predict is that one thing everybody understood, that this is a time of crisis, and if this crisis is a normal thing, in future times so many SARS and so many other viruses are going to come. So our healthcare sector must be strong enough. Okay, so we need to invest money to develop our healthcare sector, and the healthcare sector tremendously depend on microbiology in order to diagnose different diseases. Right now they are diagnosing with RT-PCR, which is an integral part of the microbiology biotech field, practical. So that's why this field has some, it will have some sort of boost in the future times from our government as well as from the other philanthropists out of India.
Moving on to the next question. What is the scope of aquaculture in industrial field?
In aquaculture will be totally different concept here, but again it can be associated with the bio agriculture industry, the part of bioagriculture industry. But as I said earlier, if you ask me regarding the scope of every single individual field, the answer will not change. The answer is the same. Whatever subfield or subtopic you choose, whatever field you belong to in the life science field, the future prospects are going to be the same. It doesn't matter whether you are talking about aquaculture, you're talking about sericulture, you're talking about fisheries or any other thing. The idea is going to be the same, because all these things comes under the idea of bioagriculture industry, and that bioagriculture industry is going to have a boost in the future times.
Okay, thank you, sir. Will plant biotechnology helpful in getting job in agricultural field and industries?
Yeah, of course. Agricultural industry, if you want to get a job in agricultural industries, then you need to get into the botany field first of all, and then after agricultural studies, agricultural, you can do BSc, MSc in agricultural as well, and then you can go into the either you qualify ICAR, NET and go into the institute for doing PhD, otherwise going to the industries directly.
Moving on to the next question. In order to apply for MSc outside of India, what are the exams we need to crack?
See, generally to get MS outside India, depending upon where you are applying, GRE is a requirement, TOEFL is there. So generally GRE and TOEFL, these are the two exams that people opt for. But I know there are places outside who can also allow you to do MS without any sort of GRE and all score. You can usually do that. But right now, after this COVID-19, I think places like United States and the European countries, they have much stricter measures of bringing someone outside of their own country. So I think the options will be little strict. We need to wait and see what kind of options they're giving. But till now, they are always an option to go with the GRE score.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the next question. What is the prospect of a dry lab job in India?
There is a big prospect of dry lab job, particularly if you want to get job fast, graduation or masters without spending extra time to any other competitive exam. You can directly go into clinical trial management, pharmacovigilance, IPR, bioinformatics, this sort of jobs. Because it's a 6 months duration postgraduate diploma course, clinical research. After that, you can get like the initial salary will be 18 to 20,000, but then with your experience that may increase in future. So that's obviously a good chance to get a faster job in India.
Okay, so thank you. There is a last question that what is the best subject to opt for according to this situation? MSc Biotechnology or MSc Microbiology?
Again, my same answer as I told from the first slide, that every single subject, either you take biotech, microbiology, biochemistry, molecular biology, these are interconnected subjects. Okay, it's not likely you have a separate entity as a microbiologist, because what you are studying and as a microbiology MSc, your biotech friend is doing the same thing. Okay, there are minor differences between the two. Similarly, in biochemistry, you are also studying the same concepts. But the thing is, when you're applying, you're talking about application field, the biochemistry is applied to the hospital as a biochemist for analyzing different things, and a microbiologist will be doing in the microbiology lab for understanding different pathogens and all. That's the only difference it's going to be. So we cannot say which is better. It depends on what you find yourself fit into. Although the syllabus are 80 to 90% similar between biochemistry, microbiology and biotechnology. So it doesn't matter which subject you choose, the future prospect is going to be the same. It's not going to be the difference, anything. Okay. So it's not likely an industry, if you apply to a food industry or a pharmaceutical industry, they will only ask, if you don't come from biochemistry, will not hire you. They will hire anyone come from biochemistry, coming from biotechnology, or coming from microbiology. They will consider all of you in the same position, in the same place. Okay, so there is virtually no difference. So it's only a matter of your idea which one you want to join, depending upon your own personal choice.
Thank you, sir. Last question. I think it is my question, that as you said, bioinformatics is rising, sir. Is there any specific course for it in India?
Bioinformatics courses are no, there are like very few places where the bioinformatics courses, they are not like a graduation or masters. There are a few universities doing the graduation courses outside which are not that much famous. So the only thing people do about bioinformatics is that people learn bioinformatics when they go into PhD, to do bioinformatics job in PhD. If you want to get your bioinformatics skill uplifted, you can go with the virtual lab that is there, which is done by our MHRD department of Government of India, Central Government of India. There are virtual labs where the bioinformatics is taught, and also there are courses available in the Udemy and the other, like Harvard has a course, and there are different universities outside has a course that you can do online. That way you can get a certificate from those universities and institutes, and you can work with that certificate. But in India solely, there are very few people who understand bioinformatics very well. Mostly those who understand are a part of the PhD. They are doing PhD right now.
Sir, if your time allows, there are 2 more questions in the group chat box. Will I say them?
Yeah, ask.
There's a question that if you want to do PhD in abroad after MSc Microbio, which are the best universities to opt for? Which exams are easier to crack, TOEFL or IELTS? As going through GRE in the present scenario is tough, you said.
First of all, I always talk about like at this point of context, we're talking about the future of biotechnology in India. And if you want to fly out of India, that means you already rejected India as the future prospect of a biotechnologist. If you go outside of India, I have little knowledge about outside India and what's going on there. Okay, that's why I don't make videos. I am making videos in India, and I am talking about the Indian scenario where you can do PhD, where you can do the industrial jobs. And personally, I feel like I want students who are doing the graduation and masters in India to do something for India, for your own country, not from the outside of India. Because if you have a backup plan, if your father can afford, you can get the money and fly out of India, and you can get like ready-made things there and job there. My idea is totally different, to stay in India and stay in this system, try to change the system, try to improve biotechnology in India. Okay. But again, regarding the different exam, TOEFL, IELTS, or you can talk about the GRE, all these exams are comparatively easier than CSIR NET exam. That's the only thing that I can tell you. It's comparatively easy because the subjective knowledge is not required if you're not applying for PhD. If you're applying for only MS, because it's better to go and do MS first outside, then do PhD there after MS. And there is only 1 year of MS outside India. And regarding the rest of the other things to do PhD and the other MS outside of India, I will make different videos later in my channel. You can watch that in the future times.
Thank you, sir. That will be all. I will request Sumit to please give the vote of thanks. Sumit, over and out to you.
Thank you so much, Dibyansu, and thank you so much, Somajit. Sorry. Hello, everyone, and a very good afternoon to one and all present over here. Somus Biology is the first emerging life science education institute for the higher studies and preparation of CSIR NET exam in life science. It has its headquarters in Kolkata, India, with 2 different modes of education, online and classroom. Team Abhilasha has successfully organized a webinar on guidance and career prospects in life science after BSc and MSc. For this, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Suman Bhattacharjee, founder and head of Somus Biology, for being the guest speaker for the webinar. Lastly, to all the participants, thank you so much for attending the webinar and making this a great success. Thank you so much, sir, for being the guest speaker of the webinar. We were really grateful to have you all.
Okay, thank you very much. I like to thank all of you to conduct this, and I think this kind of webinars need to be like regarding the career counseling need to be organized to clear out most of the doubts that our fellow like the future students are facing. So I'll also recommend any of the seminars that will come from your side for the other students of mine as well, so that they can get there and understand about the future career. So thank you everyone. So I'll take the leave right now. So I believe all get some benefit. If there is any feedback related to the seminar, you can also share with your participants so that you get to know about it in details.
Before we wind up, I request all the participants to kindly stay for a while. We have an important announcement for all of you.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Okay, thank you everyone. Okay, bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Is the poster visible?
Sumit, it is visible.
Hello?
Visible.
Yes, it is visible. Continue with the announcement.
Effective leaders